Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We're so excited to present this one to you. It's called The New Year for the New You, Diabetes Resolutions That Stick. So you're going to have to sit back and maybe grab a pen and paper and listen to our wonderful speaker that we have this evening. So should you have any technical difficulties, there's a phone number at the bottom of the screen to call Citrix support. 1-800-263-6317. That's the phone number you can call should you have any problems. Our format includes an interactive presentation followed by, it includes a short presentation followed by an interactive discussion. So there should be a webinar toolbar to the right of your screen, and there's a question box in that toolbar. And if you drop down that question box, you can type in a question. We'll be monitoring that box throughout the presentation. So that is the way you'll be able to kind of ask questions of our speakers. So we look forward to an interactive webinar. So just a disclaimer, we know that the information you're about to hear may motivate you to make lifestyle changes. Please consult your physician before making any changes to your current routine. The Cecilia Health Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialist will provide you with strategies to help you manage your diabetes. This online Q&A session is intended to give general advice. This information is not a substitute for personal medical advice and involves the professional opinion of the Cecilia Health Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialist. So our webinar leader this evening is Laura Ashley Johnson. Laura has been a practicing registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist for over 12 years. She's from Irvine, Kentucky, but now lives in Houston, Texas. Laura has a passion for nutrition and enjoys cooking for her family. Some of her hobbies are watching Kentucky basketball, traveling with her family, and spending time with her Norfolk Terrier named Butter. So thank you so much, Laura, for being with us this evening and sharing with us your expertise. So you may take it away now.
Well, thank you so much. I am so happy y'all are here. These webinars are something I look forward to all year, especially this one. This is when a lot of my patients really want to have a fresh start, make some goals, and have a vision of where they want to be this year. So first, here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to be talking about ways that you can set yourself up for success. We're going to set SMART goals if it's not something you've heard of before. I'm going to explain that here in a bit. We're also going to be talking about why having your goals in writing can help and discuss where your level of motivation is and really how to improve if that's necessary. Also, we'll touch on forgiveness, and as Katie said, we'll leave time at the end for questions and sharing and answers as well. So I'm really looking forward to it today. And again, I'm looking over at the side, so if you bump in a question, I can definitely interject throughout the program and answer it for you. So first things first for setting up yourself for success. So where do you find yourself backpedaling or slipping away from your goals? Is it when you're grocery shopping? Do you go when you're hungry maybe to the store, or do you go without a plan? Do you focus on shopping in the inward aisles of the store versus the outside? Or, do you find yourself failing at home? Do you have foods that are too tempting that are stocked in your pantry and that are just teasing you? You've got those leftover goodies from the holidays. Or do maybe have foods available that are yummy and meet your needs as well? Do you have things that maybe are more of a treats versus things that are more satisfying and nutrient dense? So do you have a variety of things? Another thing is just, are you cluttered? Sometimes when your mind or what you look at is cluttered, it can hinder your mindset. So are you focused on the past or the present? Do you dwell on maybe slipping in the past and it hasn't really worked well for you in moving forward? So these are things you want to think of first when you're trying to set yourself up for success into this new path for you. Next, when do you feel like you throw in the towel? I think everybody has a different answer for this. But you want to reflect on when in the past you've had moments when you've done this, when you just feel like you've given up. It's hard work to, execute your goals, and you can't expect perfection, but you want to be able to recognize when you're veering too far off your goals. Is it the employee gatherings you have at work? Um, is it poor time management? Maybe is it a spouse or a friend who just keeps tempting you? Another one lately that a few patients have mentioned is financial constraints, pulling you in different directions, especially at the grocery store. We know those prices are not where we like seeing them right now. So figure out what it is, and it may be more than one thing too. You might, all of these things I mentioned, you might pull two or three out of there that you're like, these are all things that I notice myself getting off track. And then that's when you can figure out how can we keep from derailing and to stay on track. So when I say avoiding derailment, you've already, you've already identified a source that causes this direction shift from your goals and thought, what can I do different next time? So often the derailments each year or month can be similar. So look at the big picture and, ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve here? Are you trying to, get your blood pressure down? Okay, well, identify factors that have caused your blood pressure to raise. Is it food? Is it stress? Is it lack of activity? It might be lack of sleep. So maybe it's food. Maybe that's what's derailing you, and you want to start with maybe taking an inventory of the foods you have um, in your house that cause the high blood pressure. Things that maybe have too much sodium in there, things that may not provide much nutrients, so or density more so you eat more of it and it might have more sodium too. So maybe you need to kind of either discard, maybe some things are old. I know when I go to my parents' house for the holidays, that's one thing I do. I go in there and get rid of the things that have definitely expired. They say 2020 or something on there. It just happens that we don't realize things go to the back sometimes. But you could discard things that are old, or if you've got things that are good. This is something I know. My mama always says you never waste anything in your pantry, and that's true. She was raised that way, and times were different back then. But if it's not good for her and it's going to cause poor health or poor blood pressure, then I say donate it to somebody else. It might be your grandkids might like it, or a food bank somewhere, so you can donate it for something. Are there certain foods you should integrate more in your meal plan that need to be added to your next grocery list? Or do you find yourself running short on time and ordering from restaurants most days of the week? This is one I really find folks who are having time management issues. They got a lot on their plate, a lot of responsibilities, feeling stressed, and if they don't have a plan of attack for what's going to happen for meals for the week, that fast food, quick, convenient option is the easy fallback because you're just tired and just not prepared. So that's something to think about. Maybe identify some, quick go-to lunches that you can have instead, or dinners. Um, they're with my patients, I often tell them when they're planning their dinners to plan maybe one or two during the week that take a little bit more um, effort, really just something that you might have to do some more chopping. There's a few more steps, but something they really find satisfaction in. And then 2 or 3 meals of the week, make them more easier options. Maybe at your grocery store, you've got some quick things that can pick up already chopped or frozen veggies or something to make it quicker, and then have some leftovers. So I know this is going a lot into detail about how to learn from previous mistakes, but this is kind of that process that you want to have in your mind as you're trying to make those changes. What hasn't worked? What do I need to do differently so that my goal, my vision is going to work for me in the end? So we're going to talk about a couple tools that are going to help you as well here in a little bit. So if you look over to the right, for those of you watching this right now, there's a quote, and I really like it. It says, "Your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change." And this is so true. If you dwell on how things might not have gone the way you'd hoped in the past, or look at the future as, man, I have to give up so much, then your thoughts are going to keep you from meeting those goals too. So first, be aware of this thing that can hinder you from meeting your goals. We've already talked about what is it that's disrupting that vision. Then second, disrupt those old brain neurons and instead think, what is it I can do to make this change? So we went through kind of with the blood pressure as an example, but here's kind of one continue it. If you ask yourself, why is lowering blood pressure important to me? Do I have a family history that I'm trying to break the trend? Do I have a family or close friend that I want to live a lot longer with and with a good quality of life? Do I want to prove to my doctor and myself that I can be the change in my future? You know, think about these conversations in your head and what your mission is and your why, and it can really keep that goal very clear for you. And in those moments that would have normally disrupted the goal, it can really help keep you focused. And sometimes, it is kind of a tough conversation that you might have with yourself and with family members too. But your health and happiness are both worth it. Um, after the holiday, actually during the holidays, I'll give you a real life example. My husband's trying to lose weight, and my mom often puts too many junk items in his stocking. And I just mentioned, hey, he's really trying to stay focused. So, if there's something you might want to make a shift, those things he is having a tough time resisting. So my mom instead put like turkey jerky sticks and pistachio bags and some dark chocolate. She just switched it up. He still had treats, things that he liked, but not almond joys and um, those little sugar babies and stuff like that that would have not provided as much satiation, I would say, but maybe for the taste in the moment, but not for a very long time. So sometimes setting goals, if you want to look at this right here, this is SMART. This is what I mentioned in the very beginning if you haven't seen this before. This acronym, SMART, is what will really tell us the who, what, when, why, and how of how you're going to accomplish your goals. Okay, so the SMART, they all stand for how we're going to set up the goal. S is specific. What do you want to do? What is it you're trying to achieve? We've talked about blood pressure today as something to change, but let's talk about maybe exercise. I know that's kind of a start of the year mission for a lot of folks. So I want to start walking. Okay, that's what we want to do. I want to start walking. Next letter M is measurable. How will you know when you've achieved it? So I want to start walking 3 days a week. Okay, and you might even want to put into that measurable outcome, I want to walk 3 days a week, 30 minutes, because that makes a difference too. You might start with 5 minutes a day. That's okay as well. You have to start somewhere. The A is for achievable. Is it in your power to accomplish this? So you want to set a goal initially that you can accomplish. Don't say I'm going to go out here and run a marathon, because if you've not been active, that's not an achievable goal for you to do today. If you say, I want to run a marathon in 6 months, that's a great goal to set for yourself because you've got some small goals in between there that's going to get you there. The next one is R. It's realistic. That kind of lends to that marathon as well. Is it realistic to say that you can achieve that marathon this week? Probably not, without being uncomfortable or causing issues, but to say that you want to achieve it in 6 months is realistic. So that's a great way to set it in that way. The next one is timely. When exactly do you want to accomplish this? So this one you can get really specific too. So I want to start walking 3 days a week, 30 minutes, starting with 5 days a week at 5 minutes a day, working towards that. So you may just start small and build it. And I want to achieve this 3 days a week, 30 minutes by the end of this month. So that's realistic. You started small, you built on it, you have a end time frame that you plan on reaching that. It's very specific. You're going to get yourself there. Okay. So here is another example, and I just need to move something over here so I can read it. Okay, I will walk 30 minutes 5 times per week on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7:30. I will start with 10 minutes 3 times a week for the first week, then increase to 15 minutes 3 times a week for a week, then increase to 20 minutes 4 times a week for 2 weeks, and then increase to 30 minutes 4 times a week for 2 weeks. This goal is a lengthy goal, but man, is it specific. And it is also measurable. They set this goal out every week what they want to do differently. So that's very specific and measurable. It's not starting off too strong. They can definitely achieve it. They have in their power to achieve it. It's realistic, and they have the end time of when they want to get to it. So this is a great goal. So you can be this specific as well, and to really nail it down what you're trying to achieve. So here's your homework assignment for today after the webinar. Write your goals down. You are more likely to achieve your goals if you have them down, brain, pen to paper. So try to write them out using this SMART acronym. And I'll give you another quick example. I'm not good at drinking water as I should. And I tell folks a lot, and I set goals a lot with patients to drink more water, but I'm just not good at it. So I can even go a whole day without drinking any. So if I want to work on drinking more water, I might say I want to work on hydrating every day as my body needs. I will start with 40 ounces a day today, adding 8 ounces every day until I hit a minimum of 90 ounces a day. To do this, I'll use a water bottle with measurements on the side and fill it to my goal for the day. The objective will be empty the bottle every day. So if I have that out visually stimulating there, I know the number I'm trying to reach, and I'm changing it as I grow with what I can consume and remember. It's going to start clicking. I used to tell this with patients. If the research has changed, then I haven't seen it, but it takes about 2 weeks of doing something that is maybe not in your normal routine for it to become natural, to feel like it's like brushing your teeth or like taking your medication, something that's in your routine. But it only takes about 4 days of not doing it to get yourself off track again. So a lot of times during the holidays, or folks who go on vacation on like cruises, or just go on trips and they get off track, I always say enjoy yourself, and here are some tips that are going to help you to stay as best on track as you can with having a little flair of fun that's different than usual. But when we get back home, we want to get right back on track, because it's so easy just to drop those healthy habits that you've already changed for yourself. So write them down. That's your goal today. For those of you, also, having those goals written down will help you be accountable. So, how many of us just, we let excuses get in the way? So just post them where you can see them. Share them with someone who will help you stay accountable. Maybe even set a reminder on your phone each week to look at your goals and refocus if needed. Sometimes folks tell me that they struggle after the weekend, their routine is different, and getting back on track is hard. So maybe you need every Sunday evening to just have a refocus moment. Maybe even a picture reminder would help. If you're working on taking your blood sugar daily like your doctor might be asking for, maybe having like a blood glucose log out where you can see it, where it will kind of prompt you that that thought of bring your meter with you to the table or to your bed stand or to the bathroom, something that you can visually see it. And sometimes people bring their readers to work or something as well. So whatever it is that can stimulate your thought process of giving you that pause and what am I working on and what's my vision, you want to have that there for you. So write it down, have things out there that you can see that remind you of it, have people that remind you of it. A lot of times spouses or best friends or your favorite coworker, they're the best people to be like, let's not have fast food today? You're gonna bring a salad tomorrow? I'll bring the protein to put on there, or just, there's lots of ways that you can help each other. So for those trying to make changes with your weight, I know that that's a big thing for January, just kind of new year, new you. Um, those who keep a food diary or an accessible like log, they lose 50% more in weight than those who don't. It's one of the best tools, whether it's, you could write it down like the old-fashioned way, like a journal, or by using one of these new cool apps that are on your phone. So a couple that I often tell patients are great are like MyFitnessPal or Calorie King. Those are excellent. I will say that MyFitnessPal is still excellent. It used to let you scan a food label and it would enter it in there really quickly for you, but it's still very user friendly, even though that option isn't there. It actually is there, but you have to pay for it. But both of those apps, you can log food and look up foods and put it in your diary at no expense. You can just say, no, thanks, I don't want to join, and just go about what you want to do, logging that. So those are a couple that are great. Um, things to record also. If you're writing it down or on the apps, you can do either of these. The time of the meal, you might start realizing that, oh, I'm not eating breakfast 3 times out of the week, and I find myself eating way too much lunch after I skip that meal. You might want to write down the specific food item and the portion size. This is where, when a lot of my diabetes patients, they're like, I was eating this particular food and I had no idea the carbs were so high until I saw it on the nutrition label. You could also write down kind of your feelings at the time of eating. Intuitive eating is kind of a new lifestyle approach to nutrition. And they talk more about how you felt, or did it satiate you? Were you hungry? What was your body telling you? So sometimes that style of documenting your feelings can help as well for some folks. You might also want to keep track of your pre-meal sugars, because I know a lot of my patients, I ask them what their fasting is, or before meal, or what their 2 hour after meal sugar is. So that's something that you could document on your apps or writing down. And then for those of you who take insulin, maybe you have like a carb ratio or something, you might write down like how much insulin you bolused as well, and that can be helpful for working with your diabetes educator or with your doctor as well. Here's another fun one. Okay, I know that you guys probably remember it from school. Vision boards. For those of you who are looking at it, you know what I mean already. These were always popular, even in college, when you were trying to kind of show who you are. So you get all these old magazines and cut out things that you thought maybe were reflective of you or what your mission was. So just, why not make a board that shows the goals that you have for yourself and that you're working so hard to achieve? It might be from a magazine, but you might actually go print out some pictures of maybe, your healthy weight where you felt really like you had a lot of energy and you were really enjoying life, and like what was making you happy. And, just remember, weight does not necessarily mean, you know, mean happiness. You might be happy at a different weight now, but still be really healthy too. So think about the whole picture of your whole well-being. You may want to think about, it's resistance exercise I want to try more of this year, because I'm feeling like my muscle tone is, as I'm aging, is going down a bit, and I want to try to build some muscle. Or my bone health, maybe you got a bone density exam and you found that your bones were weakening some, so that's why you want to get some resistance exercise in there. Maybe you have things that make your heart happy and you're trying to get that blood pressure down. Put things up there that make your heart happy. I mean, honestly, vision boards, you can get super creative with. And again, it's one of those visual things like we talked about earlier. Writing your things down, having pictures around. A vision board has lots of things on there that just help you refocus what your intentions are. So post your motivations, maybe sell, your clothes, doctor, family, whatever it is, cut it out, paste it on there. And I'm going to tell you one quick thing. I had a patient once who posted a picture of a roller coaster, because his first goal was to fit in a roller coaster seat. And to some, you would never think about a roller coaster seat or an airplane seat that you can fit comfortably in, but those are big wins for people sometimes. So I loved that he put that roller coaster on there, and when he got to go do it, it was so sweet to hear that he had such a wonderful time. So he worked so hard to get that way and made it, and I knew that he looked at that every day. So so the next part is creating your dream team. These are the people who are at your side. They're your cheerleaders. I call it a lot of times with my husband, I call them my ride or dies. They're there for you through thick and thin. When you're at your worst, they're there to bump you up. When you're at your best, they're there to cheer for you still. So who's on your team? Your doctor, of course. They want you at your best health. They're prescribing you things that they want to help you out with. And communicate with your doctor what your goals are as well, because they, in diabetes terms too, especially, I ask patients what their mission is, and sometimes they're like, I really want to get off some of these medications. Well, while I can't really speak to a lot of what they should do to get off meds or on meds or change meds, I tell them, tell your doctor that. What what is it that you want to happen with your medications? Tell your doctor. They're the ones that prescribe it. They know what you're working towards, and they might have some really great input that's going to help get you there too. Your spouse, your significant other, for sure. You guys are eating together, you are resting together, you're watching TV, you're going out and about. Like, there's so many things that your spouse is there for, moments that could either derail you or really speak to getting you to your goals. So make sure they know what your goals are, and let them help you out too. You might be helping each other. Best friend, of course, your best friend is there for you. If they weren't, they shouldn't be your best friend. Personal trainers, they're great. They're definitely a great tool to show you the right moves to help get you physically there where you want to be. Weight loss, muscle, fat loss. Remember that some personal trainers, they might lend some nutritional advice as well, and that's great, but just remember that they may not be a dietitian. So just understand that they may have had some nutrition education, and they could probably give you great tips, but just remember who you're speaking with and what their expertise is as well. Next is your Cecilia Health Coach. We're here for you. We want to see you meet your goals. It makes us so happy for you to report like the things that you've been working on for months and you're getting there. It's super fulfilling for us. So we want you to get there as much as you do. So let us be your cheerleader. Your pet, I showed you earlier, my dog Butter. She is on my dream team because I don't always necessarily want to exercise, but that little girl needs to get her legs moving. So she's a big motivator. Your children and your grandchildren, they're there for you. They want you to be your best self for them and to have you around a lot longer. Let them be on your team. And of course, faith and spirituality. When no one is maybe there around you, when you're trying to seek guidance in different ways, you can lend that. May it be prayer or meditation, maybe even like yoga. There's a lot of ways that you can get in touch with yourself, your feelings, what your goals are, in different ways spiritually, with your faith and in whatever higher power that you work with. So who is not on your dream team? This is also important to know because there are a lot of folks who could be on the discouragement committee. So these are people who you've already identified are the people that get in the way. They derail you in those moments. So, you can maybe when you talk with them about what your mission is, maybe they won't be a part of that discouragement committee anymore. But sometimes that's just not enough. I have a lady in a hospital that works that every day they come around with sweets, and I understand that they're trying to build up a positive rapport in the afternoon with their employees, but it's really knocking her blood sugars out of the park and not in a good way, like off the off the charts. So finally, with my encouragement, her discussion with them, they bring sugar-free candies now, and sometimes she doesn't even have any, but they've even given the option to the employees that they could have something different. So that was a discouragement committee moment, but we've turned it around. Stay away from negativity, whether it's you're making it yourself or from others. If you're feeling those moments of frustration and you're talking like, I'm never going to get there, power through it. What has gotten you there? Today is a new day. Whatever happened before is over with. Move forward. Okay. You're going to always have moments of slip ups, no matter what your goal is. It's not going to be one positive path forward trajectory. You're going to have these little moments of slip up, but you absolutely can just get right back on that line. You can do it just fine. And you might need to change your friends. There's folks who I know that, they'll have these people in their circle and it's just taxing on their emotions and, what they're having for dinner at night, even with their families, that, bringing over things that aren't healthy and things. You got to be careful and have the discussion. You want to foster good communication. Another thing I'll tell all of you too, if you do see like a diabetes educator in person or even over the phone with your spouse or with a friend, do it together, because I've many times met with a couple and maybe they've never told them or didn't feel um, that comfortable being able to share or know how to articulate what they're trying to get to, but I can really help foster that communication and help both of them understand, because there's feelings on both sides of, there's just there may be resentment or confusion, but they really ultimately, if you've got love in your heart for the other person, you want to help, and you just have to kind of iron some things out sometimes. Okay. So look here, how important is it to you? You might want to rate on your scale of 0 to 10 what's important. If you have 3 or 4 goals, you might want to rate which one's my priority. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many things. If you're trying to exercise and watch your portion sizes and start eating breakfast and drink more water, it might be too much to do that all in one week. Maybe not do that. Let's just try one thing this week. Maybe just drinking some water this week is your start, and next week you're going to start with 5 minutes of walking every day. Don't overwhelm yourself. Okay. Lastly, be forgiving. And I like this quote. It's a great act of grace to forgive. It is an act of love to offer yourself another chance. Forgive yourself of the past. Whatever it is that you're feeling guilty for or resentment or frustration with, forgive yourself. Like I said, today is a new day. You can make changes today and still get where you want to be. Create your dream team, have them there for support. Look at everybody that loves you and wants to be there for you and see you live a really long and healthy, fruitful life. Forgive yourself. Okay. All right, so that concludes our slides for today. I want to look over here now to see if we have some questions. We always do, so let's pop over here, write them over on the side if you want to ask one, and I will be ready for you. So we've already got a few over here. Okay. So, okay, I'm seeing a lot of commercials on fad diets, and I'm trying to choose which one I should go with. What is your opinion? So here's the thing with fad diets. That's exactly what they are. There are a lot of nutrition plans that are out there. I need not list them. I know you've seen the commercials and you probably see things on social media. So, you know, what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. Now, if you've got diabetes, and I think many of the folks here on the webinar do, we have like some specific nutritional guidance that we give in terms of carbohydrates and portion control. We kind of speak to a bit with the calories too, but so there are some specifics that we say. But in general, any type of nutrition plan that is going to knock out an entire food group or almost an entire food group, one that has very stringent rules, or is a quick fix, those are red flags, okay? Anything that's a quick fix, yes, you might actually get a tremendous amount of weight loss and a big drop in sugar as well. That is very possible. But the moment you readapt, even just healthy habits, it could all come back, and most of the time does. So quick fixes are not fixes. Small changes equal big results. So those small goals that I mentioned, like setting a couple, like one a week or a couple a week that are small, that's going to get you to where you want to be. Okay. That's a good question though. And I know that I get asked that specifically for specific diets a lot on here. And I think it's also because sometimes patients get guidance from diets with their providers as well, and they often have really good intention behind it. There are some benefits to some of those, especially the fad diets that do still include all types of food, or like maybe a really nutrient dense, has good fiber, heart healthy fats. Those warrant some great impacts on cholesterol and weight loss and diabetes. So ask your dietitian specifically or diabetes educator that you're working with if you have a specific one you have in mind as well, and they'll be able to really help you a lot more for that one. So next one, I'm concerned about my cholesterol. Can you tell me about how much saturated fat I should try to limit to for my goal? So with the American Heart Association, they recommend less than 10% of your fat be from saturated fats. That is the guidance, and you can look on nutrition labels to see that as well. Yeah, because too much saturated fat can definitely raise the bad cholesterol and lower the good cholesterol. And sometimes I know folks get those confused as well. So your doctor usually checks a total cholesterol, and then they check an LDL and an HDL. Here's the way you can remember it. An LDL, you want to be low because it's the bad one. The HDL, you want to be high because it's the good one. That's how you can remember those. And they often check the triglycerides too. So exercise is a big component with heart health as well, getting your cholesterol down and helping with those values. So if you can get some good cardio and resistance in there, that can really help with that too. So I have a question here too. I've heard that some really low carb diets are great for weight loss. What do you recommend? And so this kind of goes with the fad diets I mentioned earlier. So, a low carb diet it depends. I think some folks would say the controlled carbohydrates or the diabetic meal plan that we share with you guys is low carb. Because if you compare it to what the average American eats for carbs, it probably is a lot lower, but it's not really considered what is low carb. Like the ketogenic diet or Atkins, like those are significantly low, like very, very low. It does show that they will lead to weight loss, and we see some quick impacts sometimes, but in effect, you're often just eating fewer calories since you're reducing portions and omitting a lot of the carb rich like desserts and pop and fruit, which, a diet that knocks out fruits, that's a red flag. Or most of the fruit, you can have a little carbs with those, but over the long term, people will have the same weight loss, whether it's a low carb or moderate carb. I guess maybe moderate carb would maybe be closer to a diabetes meal plan, because all foods can be incorporated in a healthy, balanced way. One of the methods I used to teach my kids, but honestly, adults loved it too. We called it Go Slow Whoa. I used a red light, yellow light, green light. And I said, don't stress your mind out in trying to decide whether or not foods are good and bad, because all foods can be incorporated in different ways. We know that if the foods were in a green group, that was something we needed every day, provided great vitamins and minerals and energy and good things for our bones and muscles. The yellow ones provided some nutritional value, some satisfaction as well, some vitamins, some minerals. And then the red ones were less nutrient dense, but still provided some mental and physical satisfaction as well. So I would say let's have those red foods maybe once or twice a week, but we want to have green foods every day, yellow foods, several days a week, and red foods periodically. So that's sometimes as it's a general type of way to look at food, but I know my kids really they really liked it, and they liked playing the game of put the food in which category they felt it was. We had like a matching game. Well, these were excellent questions. Again, if you have any other questions like after today's webinar, ask your diabetes educator that you're working with. Here is the next webinar. It's on February 6th at 6 p.m. It's all the medication tips your doctor never told you. And this is a great one too, because I know when a lot of you go in your doctor's appointments, there's so much you need to talk about, and it can kind of get carried away with just conversation or the quickness they have to get to the next patient. So maybe this is going to be good for you because you've had questions about how your medication works or how best to take it, etc. This will be a great webinar for you if this is kind of how you feel. If you want more events, check it out on our website. We work with our educators with our text messages too, and follow us on Facebook as well. I've enjoyed our time today. If you need anything, talk to your coach. I wish you all the best, happy 2023 and meeting all your goals.